Everyone's been talking about the SEC and the Big Ten potentially forming super conferences of 20 plus schools, but they need to put brakes on that right now, and Notre Dame is the reason why. Hey, what's up? This is the Jersey Score, and I'm Trevor, and today we are talking about why Notre Dame is the reason why the SEC and the Big Ten will not be forming super conferences anytime too soon. So all those talks can slow down for the meantime, and that's all fun discussion and everything for now. But it's just not going anywhere because Notre Dame has said over and over again it did not want to join a conference. It had so many chances to with the Big Ten in the past, and a lot of money is on the line now, and they're still holding out because they have a chance to get their own deal while being in independence and making what they're aiming for is $75 million a year. And so that even if that comes in less than what the Big Ten or SEC is ultimately making, if it allows them to keep their independence, they will. And the Big Ten and SEC have both said that they're happy to stand pat for the meantime. I mean, they don't even have their new schools added in Texas and Oklahoma for the SEC and USC and UCLA for the Big Ten. So they have every incentive to wait, add the new schools, see how the structure goes with 16 teams before thinking about adding anybody else, unless Notre Dame changes its mind all of a sudden and decides it needs to join one of those conferences in order to just compete financially or make it into the playoff and compete for a national championship. And right now, Notre Dame's still waiting on that TV deal. So those two, the two new power conferences have every incentive to just slow down and wait because their other top targets are all sitting in the ACC. And we all know that their contract goes forever and that as long as they can keep a majority of their programs content or at least convinced that they need to stay together or they're going to lose their top brands, then they're going to do that. And while the ACC can't do a lot to make its situation better, it certainly can keep it from getting a whole lot worse. And so they are locked in, and they're going to be happy to keep it that way. So Notre Dame, because they do have that affiliation and partnership, I mean, they can do everything they can to entice Notre Dame to join them. But again, if money is going to be a motivator, that Notre Dame looks like they're set to be able to make more money than that, than what they'd be able to get by joining the ACC. So I don't think that's going to happen either. Also, an aside, the Notre Dame agreement with the ACC supposedly says that if it joins any conference, it has to be the ACC. But does joining in 2020 and then leaving again, does that now satisfy that requirement and allow them now to go on and join another conference? Is that how that works? If you know, let me know in the comments because I'm not sure how all that plays out. Anyway, so if there is any action, and I suspect there will be, it'll be with the Pac-12. And either they'll be able to convince their members to stay together and they'll either be able to pick up some Big 12 schools to round out its ranks. I doubt that'll happen. Most likely, they're going to have to go to the group of five. We all know the names: the Boise State, San Diego State, UNLV, maybe SMU. But I don't think, and I think the consensus agrees, that money is going to get them on par with the Big 12 and what they're expected to make in their next contract, even with losing Texas and OU. So I think what's more likely to happen is they're going to see the writing on the wall. Big 12 is going to be able to steal some programs, and the Pac-12 is either going to have to kind of cobble together a conference with several Mountain West or other group of five programs, or it's going to dissolve. Those programs are all going to go running and try to find the best home they can, and it'll be the other way. They'll be fleeing to the Mountain West. And so I think that's really where the question is right now. Now, ultimately, where Stanford, where Oregon, where Washington end up, again, that all depends on Notre Dame. And if they're not making a decision anytime soon, those schools are going to have to figure out temporary, or at least what they hope is a temporary solution. So Oregon and Washington, I know they want to get into the Big Ten. That invite just isn't coming right now. I know how lousy it feels to be kind of the next guy in line, and that opening just isn't there. I'm a BYU fan. That was basically my life for the last decade or so, watching Utah and TCU and other schools move on. But now BYU finally gets that turn, and it's Oregon and Washington that are the ones sitting out of being at the cool kids table with the Big Ten or the SEC. I'm not saying that that won't come, but also there's no guarantee, because as those other schools wait out Notre Dame to see what happens, we never know what could happen with the ACC in the meantime. And the Big Ten or SEC may decide that they like those programs that they can get there. The Big Ten may go for UNC or UVA or Duke over Oregon and Washington. And so there's really no guarantee. They need to get over it. These super conferences may not happen, and they need to move on with their life too. I think the Big 12 makes the most sense for them, whether it's for a short term until those other conferences do expand, or if it is a long term. I don't think the Pac-12 is going to be as viable if it even survives. So I think they need to get off that sinking ship. So everybody just needs to come to terms with the fact that Notre Dame, the Big Ten, the SEC, and the ACC are likely going to stay pat for at least 2-3 more years, if not longer. So get those super conferences out of your mind for right now. The action is with the Pac-12. It'll be interesting to see what happens there, if they're able to survive, or if the Big 12 is able to make a play to take some of its programs, and if the conference falls apart, we will see. Let me know what you think. Will we ever see super conferences, or is conference realignment going to be done after the dust settles with the Pac-12? Let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks.